Hello and welcome to Sexy Science Time on location. I'm Ian Jones and this is Behind the Scenes. Today I'm in Brightwood Park and I'm going to be testing out my new camera and my new gimbal and looking around at naturey things that I can find in the park to talk about. It's been a while since I've been to Brightwood Park. And one of the things that wasn't here before is this little enclosure. And if we look inside the enclosure, there's pretty echinacea flowers here. And echinaceas are very popular as a herbal remedy for various cold and flu complaints. Now, what does it say here? Oh, I'm going to stop the recording and take a still of this. If I zoom in, we can see just what's going on here. And I'm going to take a pause while I read what's in here. Okay, so scanning around, I'm seeing quite a lot of dead wood and fallen trees. And it's exciting to me because one of the things I enjoy is a bit of mycology, and obviously most of the mushrooms that I like live on dead wood. So let's go having a quick troll through here and see if we can find something. Found any dead wood yet? Certainly no fungus, but unfortunately this tree looks a little bit unwell based on the animal attacks. Looking like maybe woodpecker or something that's had a go at this, and the fact that there are bugs in there suggests that they found some dead wood to burrow into. I have found some fungal activity. I'm not quite sure what these little white bracket fungi are. Don't want to disturb it. Let's see if we can get a super close up on that. I was looking at this stick and looking at the bracket fungi on there. They have a very interesting coloration that is a bit like a Trametes that we know well. And if I turn it over, let's see if I can get the camera on, you see it's a polypore. There's no gills or anything on the underside. I'm hoping that the camera will let me pan up, because I am trying to see if there are any fungi up in the trees. It would be a dream come true for me to find somewhere in amongst these branches a ball of lion's mane. It's not going to be here though. Okay, here we have a relatively young beech tree, and if I can just grab one of the branches and pull it towards us, we can have a little bit of a look at the leaves. Now, what I've seen in various parts of Pennsylvania that I'm glad not to be seeing here is evidence of beech leaf disease, which basically causes the leaves to curl up and die, and ultimately to kill the tree. And this youngster looks pretty healthy to me. Growing around on the ground here, I see lots and lots of these little rose bushes, teeny tiny little things, and when they're bigger, more mature, they produce rose hips in the autumn. And rose hips are interesting because they're very high in vitamin C. You have to be a little bit careful if you're going to eat them, because the insides of them have little hairs that are really irritating. In fact, as kids we used to capture that and use it as itching powder. Also fun to recall at this point that my mother used to make rosehip wine, and my sister got very drunk on it one time at a party we went to. Yes, and what we see here is lots and lots and lots of Japanese knotweed. I learnt recently though that bits of knotweed are edible, especially when they're young. These are now quite mature, probably too woody for that. It can be used a bit like asparagus. And if you'll pardon the pun, looking at the bark of this tree, I'm going to go out on a limb and say that that is a white oak. The dragon scales of the bark make it quite distinctive. Well, well, well. I think what we have here are a couple of little oyster mushrooms growing on the side of this fallen tree. Let's have a look. It's kind of hard to tell. This is quite an interesting little space I found inside the hollow of this tree. I can zoom out a little bit. I have a feeling that that big white guy down there is a Berkeley polypore. And zooming back out and panning to the left, I think we see more bracket fungi there. Isn't that cute? I think this is a little bit fun. Let's see if I can zoom in on this guy here. This is another fungus. Well, technically this is actually a mold. If I've identified this guy correctly, this is Stomontis, or chocolate slime mold, if I remember that correctly. But look at that. There's a couple of little other blobs of it further down here. I think really all this is just another nice little cluster of possibly what are oyster mushrooms. Pleurotuses pleuroting happily on a tree. I found some more bracket fungus. Again, this looks like maybe it's a Trametes of some kind. I'm going to attempt to get an underside shot. I don't know quite how this is going to work there. Let's see if the camera will orange. Is that going anywhere near underneath? I just stopped to take a look at this birch tree because the bark always makes me think when I first see them that it's cherry. It's very similar but slightly different colour. But when I pan up, it looks like it has quite a few bare branches. That makes me think this tree's a little bit dead. Which obviously is good news for the mushrooms. And I think there's a polypore that lives on birch trees that is a bit of a delicacy, but I don't see anything like that here on this one. This one you see a fair bit in New Jersey, if I've got my identification correct. In that this, although I don't see any of the beans on there, this I think is a catalpa. Aha. Now I think what we have here is mullein. And mullein, I was talking with a wilderness guy the other day, and it's not the first time I've heard anyone say this, that he was smoking mullein to help with respiratory problems. People use it as a tea sometimes as well for easing and providing remedies for colds and the flu. Due to its broad leaf and fluffy texture, it's also popular as bush toilet paper, I might add. Obviously the culprit has long fled, but obviously this is a woodpecker action right here. And also some really interesting, I don't know if that's mycelium or that's fruiting body or quite what, but yeah, quite a lot of rot in here. If I scan further along, I see a few bracket fungi, possibly brown because they're all covered in spores, making them a bit hard to identify. Now this guy with the shiny leaves and the spikes caught my eye. I thought it was a rose at first glance, but the leaf shape looks wrong. So that one is unknown to me. Nestled in some young sweet gum saplings. Yeah, I am just enjoying this big old beech tree that I've just found. And the thing that I'm actually enjoying the most about this beech tree, it seems to be relatively free of knife-carved graffiti. Unfortunately, many of the beech trees in this park and anywhere else where there are people tend to get engraved. But this guy is huge and blemish-free. Unfortunately, I am seeing some signs though of beech leaf disease. Not much, and maybe it's not, but yeah, I'm a little bit sad about that. We've got a whole new fungus here. And this guy is. Let's see if we can get the camera to peek underneath. Can we do that? A little shot there. Hopefully that's seeing something. Try that. I have no idea what that is. It looks almost like a Ganoderma from the colour. Moving further along, we have all these other little bracket fungi, and I'm dying to actually pick one and see what's underneath. Yeah, let's have a look. I think from the look of it that can be classed as a polypore. And if we keep going, you'll get a nice view of the lake in a moment. Oh, right by the spot where the infamous rope swing was. Just see the remnants of it hanging from the tree there. Personally, I would have to be pretty desperate to go in that water. But what I will say is though that I brought most of my kids here down to the shoreline to skip stones, because this is the perfect location for that. Should I maybe even try to do something? Let's see if we can find a skipping stone or two. Oh, but in the meantime, we have more fungi on the base of this oak tree of unknown variety. But we have pins, we have reds, we have a lot of different kinds of oak trees in New Jersey, and this is another one. So back to looking for skipping stones. Okay, I am now about to attempt to skip some stones. There's something quite satisfying about skipping stones. It's like for a moment you're defying the laws of physics by making this big heavy thing bounce across the water. One last go. Oops. None of the stones here are that good shape for skipping, but we managed to get a few bounces. And can't really do them justice, but there's a whole bunch of dragonflies lurking around over here, and That's a shame because dragonflies are really cool. Of course, it's pokeweed. And some of the berries are starting to get ripe. Do not eat them. Here we have some of the teeniest, tiniest bracket fungi I have seen. And clearly, oh, look at these. Aren't they pretty? I think these probably are straight up turkey tails. Look at the colours. Here's a fungus that I haven't seen on this walk so far. I don't know what this guy is. May have to pick one and peek underneath. Oh, they're hard. Look, it's a solid ball. I can kind of squish it with my thumbnail. No idea what that is. I'll look here and see what we have, see if we can clear away some of this. What we are seeing here. Nope. Tipped it over. Don't know what this guy is, but it's going to make for an interesting identification. Let's just pop him back. Ooh. Look at the inside of this glistening. I don't know if they're like puffballs or the infamous dog nose fungus. There's a few of them along here. One last passing shot. I am pretty sure this is catalpa. It's got the beans growing on it. See if you can find some beans in the shot. Huge leaves, obviously popular as a shade tree if nothing else. So we're nearly at the end of Sexy Science Time on location. I've been bitten a few times, despite spraying myself with bug spray, but we've had a fun adventure looking at all the different fungi and trees and some other interesting plants that grow in Brightwood Park.